Well, that's good enough, right? That we're ready to go. That's great.
They'll give us something.
I give us something. Well, I'm Steve Kim from the Bass Basement. I'm happy to be here with Geoff Harper and fellow baseball fan, fellow Mariner fan. We both like Jocko. We both like Mingus.
That's it.
Hey, how are you, Geoff?
I'm good.
All right. So, you're from Seattle.
I moved here in 1974. I turned 8 here. I'm basically from Seattle.
Basically, did you play any music wherever you came from Seattle from? And where was that, by the way? Which, if you care to say.
Born in Colorado Springs, moved to Albuquerque when I was 1.5, moved to Portland when I was 3, moved to Seattle when I was 8.
Wow. Okay. A lot. Okay, so moved here when you were 8, went to school, high school here?
West Queen Anne. I went to West Queen Anne grade school and a McClure junior high school. These are both on Queen Anne.
So, where does the bass figure in for you?
6th grade, the lady showed up and she said, you might be interested in this. And it was a violin, and she also had a viola, and she had a cello, and she said there was one that was bigger. And I thought, if I wanted to get attention, I should probably get the bigger one. So I did that. And it was also an opportunity to get out of class for an hour a week.
They laid the bass on you.
I asked. I mean, I wanted to.
But I mean, that was okay. The days when they provided instruments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I took it home and someone went, "Goo!" I said, "What's that?" And I brought it home. Fingerboard cracked off. So I brought it back with duct tape around it.
Your duct tape, cool.
And she took it to whoever fixed it.
All right. Okay. So now we come forward, and you were telling me a little bit, but please remind me that I know you ended up at the program at Cornish, but before that there was some travels and you attended other places. So
Yeah, I got out of high school miraculously. I mean, really, my grade point was amazing, a miracle that I made it out. And then applied to the Berklee College of Music, and they accepted me.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
As
I was there for a year and a half.
As a double bass player.
No, I wanted to be Jocko at this point.
Oh, so you're playing electric.
Mm-hmm. In junior high school, the teacher said, "Would you like to play electric bass?" Which was very helpful because it had frets, and so I realized there was a difference between an F and an F sharp. The notes were on the page, that's how they taught it to us, and I didn't even know that you were supposed to use these. It was mind-boggling. I got into music because I loved listening to it, but I could not go, oh, you use your ears and that's why you play music. I thought you learned how to play music.
You know, Gary Peacock told me when he first started he couldn't hear the difference between a fifth and an octave.
I still got that from time to time.
He said, how about that, right?
Oh, it's amazing, that journey as you go through and you go, oh, well, if you do this, then you can do this. Who knew?
So, Berkeley, Boston.
Mm-hmm.
How did Seattle happen then in the Cornish College?
I came back to Seattle, kind of tail between my legs, I think. And I'd taken a class, a Charles Mingus class at Berkeley. And it was early. It was like 9 in the morning.
A Charles Mingus class?
Yeah.
So what did they do in the Charles?
We listened to music and talked about his compositions.
Wow.
I didn't know how to talk about compositions. I had no idea what they were talking about. I thought the music was interesting. I didn't really... I wanted to be Jocko.
Mm-hmm.
I came back and bought Charles Mingus Changes 2, and I put the needle down. And I bought it out of guilt. I was like, well, I should probably listen to this guy if I took this class. I mean, I was backwards, stupid, thinking, put the needle on, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And that was it. I said, I'm done with electric bass. I'm never going to play it again. I'm going to play upright.
And yeah, Mingus. Eric Dolphy.
That's that brought me into Eric Dolphy. And Eric Dolphy brought me into kind of weird music.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend at Berkeley learned me about kind of noise music, like Bill Oswell, like and Fred Frith
Oh.
Massacre, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Which brought me out of my jazz snobbery, which was kind of Miles Davis and Stan Kenton. I mean, really, that was how I was. Snobby.
Now, did you get that kind of attitude? Was that a prevalent thing in Boston? Or
No, that was my dad.
Your dad.
Mhm.
And how's your dad figure into it?
He loved jazz music, and he ended up. We moved to Seattle. He was a disc jockey, and he was a rock and roll disc jockey. He hated rock and roll, but he had the gift for gab, so he could talk about anything. But he loved jazz music, and I think probably got into it maybe to please him in a way. And then just kind of that idea kind of went past him pretty quick. He had an idea of how it was to be a musician, but he was very good at reading aloud. I was never good at music, so he didn't have to work at it. I had to work at it really hard. In our separate, things that we wanted to do.
And what form did that take for you? You know, when you say you worked really hard at it, how did that look for you?
I think I can kind of, maybe even three. I have 2 times in my life. One, I decided, I was studying with Chuck Deerdorf, and he introduced me to Berlin. What was that guy's name?
Geoff Berlin.
Geoff Berlin. And then right after that, he said, and I just transcribed this. I didn't know what a it was called Teen Town. I could read music enough so I could do this. But I couldn't, there was no tempo I could ever do. But I practiced that so hard. And I never even got close to where Jocko could do it. But it made me all of a sudden understand this neck and how it all worked. And a lot, still learning it, but it made everything a lot kind of clearer to me just by working on that. And because having to work on that, I was like, well, I can't do this, so how do I figure out how to do this? So now I'm playing scales and arpeggios in different places I never thought about.
Yeah.
That was invaluable.
Cool. And so now, Geoff Berlin, Chuck transcribed Geoff Berlin and...
Oh, I don't know. He might have... There was a record called Road Rules, I think. Alan Holsworth and Geoff Berlin was the bass player. And there's a bass... I mean, I don't even know physically how he can do it and know what right notes to play. It's just, it's a mastery of electric bass.
Yeah, he's tough, man.
Yeah.
So you get out of Berkeley, you get out of Cornish, and now you're here. And does stuff start to happen or not, or how did that work for
Cornish, before I went to Cornish, I went up to Port Townsend for the jazz festival. I think it was called the Bud Shank Jazz Festival back then. But I met Chuck, and I also met John Clayton.
Sure.
And John Clayton, I had never met any person that could express the love of, I'm going to say everything, but what initially kind of got me was the love of music and how to do that, to become a musician and not get bogged down with, I got to do this, I got to do this. It's like, yeah, you probably should do this, but find a way to want to do it. And I think that's kind of what I got from John, although I took a lot of that and kind of made it lazy. I was lazy, I think, for many years. I'm trying to get out of that.
Well, they have an attitude about that in Zen. They might think that that's kind of a wise way to approach some stuff.
Right. No, I'm not. I got pretty funky during the pandemic and was judging myself hard. Now I'm trying to come out and just be like, okay.
Yeah, very
Let's go.
cool.
Let's
Very
go.
cool. All right. So now these days, what's happening? I'm hesitant to say post-pandemic, but
Yeah.
this part of
Right.
where we're at.
Where we feel like we can go out and
Yeah.
there is no pandemic. Oh, this is crazy. Anyway, yeah, I have some projects. I recently it's kind of been slow for me, but we just got done with doing a John McLaughlin thing, called Being John McLaughlin, where we do the music with Mahavishnu.
Oh, what's
With
what-
Ryan Burns.
Yeah, Ryan. But tell me about that. What's?
Uh, okay.
Yeah, you and Ryan.
Well, check it out. We're back to Berkeley.
Ah,
So there's another class in the morning. This was the first year I did. So I don't know what's happening.
and what time in the morning are we?
This
talking?
is 9 o'clock, but it's
Yeah,
called listening and analysis.
Yeah, it's pretty early to be getting into stuff that heavy, huh? Mingus and Mahavishnu. And,
Right.
All right.
Well, but it wasn't. This is listening and analysis. He says, "I'm gonna play you music, and you're gonna come and listen. You're gonna get graded for if you show up, and then the next grade you're gonna get is you're gonna write a record review." So, and I'm thinking to myself, "Well, this is easy." And he says, the last day, I go wear my Mahavishnu T-shirt, and we're listening to Mahavishnu. And at this point, I'd started getting into quote weird music, so I was really excited. Mahavishnu. Last day of class comes, and I'm just, what is this? It didn't make any sense to me. It's just noise. I couldn't understand,
And what are
you
we
couldn't
talking about?
try.
Intermountain Flame?
Sure, I
Ride?
think he played. I'm guessing he played Intermounting Flame and some of Birds of Fire. I mean, those are kind of. That's what I would play.
Yeah,
But I don't remember. But I bought a record back in Seattle, kind of the same thing, kind of going, well, this guy really was into Mahavishnu, so maybe he has a point. And so I actually started getting them. I think I got Birds of Fire, and I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. I mean, it was like rock.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ryan and I started talking, and I was like, well, maybe we should start a John McLaughlin band. But I think it was a kind of a joke, because that music did not seem accessible to me.
And who else do you have playing in it?
Rick Van Dyke was playing guitar.
Oh, wow.
And it started off, John Wicks was playing drums, and Mark Taylor was doing the violin part by playing saxophone.
Cool.
That was the first incarnation of the band. I guess we've had, Rick Rick is a terrific, beautiful saxophone player, and he's one of those guys who can play anything. And it was great with Rick. But then Rick was able to play saxophone again because his hernia kind of healed. So he went back to saxophone, which is great. But so we had this guy Tristan. He was playing guitar.
Uh-huh.
Fantastic kid. It was like amazing. And then we just had Brian. Was it Brian Maroney? No, Matt. Shoot, sorry.
You're playing a lot. Do you spend any time teaching? And if so, how would somebody get a hold of you if they wanted to do that?
Yeah, get a hold of me through Facebook. Geoff. It's Geoff with a G, Harper. I have 2 students right now, and they're the best students I've ever had. And I do them on Zoom, and we talk about music, and we go through techniques and stuff. But they're both 13, and they're way ahead of anything I was. At probably
Okay,
30.
well, that's God.
Hi,
Well,
Ginger. Hi, Amos. Okay.
so that's great. So if people want to get a hold of you, then they can.
Facebook.
All right, and we did something a long time ago with Jock,
Mhm.
2 basses and drums, and I remember you played acoustically then, and I really liked the sound you were getting that night, and I see that we don't have you hooked up again, so, and that I'm kind of a sucker for just the sound without any other reinforcement if we can do it. So
Yeah.
let's play that thing that you played earlier.
It's called Check-In. It was written by Sam Jones, but it's off an album, Kenny Burrell album. I forget the name of it, but it's really cool. It has a Picasso picture on it, and there's a volume 1 and volume 2. One's blue and one's
It's got Picasso.
red. It's a Picasso drawing.
Wow.
But it's a cool. Art Blakey plays drums, and on this particular album, he's playing brushes the whole way time through. It almost sounds like he's, here you go, get your ace. I mean, it's like he's dealing cards. And at the end, it's his solo. They start trading. He picks up. I get goosebumps. Love Art Blakey.
How's it go?
Let's see. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's go faster. 1,
Okay.
2.
guest takes the solo. I'm Steve Cam with Geoff Harper today from the Bass Basement. And thanks, Geoff.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's great, man. So we'll see you next time. Thank you, man. Thank you.
you.
All right. Well, see, that was nice and easy.